Chiefs Kingdom, welcome in to the latest edition of the AP Film Room on the Arrowhead Pride YouTube, Twitter, Facebook page. Yes, it's called X. I'm still going to call it Twitter. But thank you for joining us tonight. We are here tonight to break down the Chiefs' latest win, finally a win after a couple straight losses, a win against the New England Patriots, that 27-17 win on Sunday afternoon. I'm the lead analyst at the site, Ron Kopp Jr., and joining me as usual are my guys, the film analyst, the great film analyst at the site, Caleb James at CJ Scoobs on Twitter, Nate Christensen, Nate CH32. Caleb, I'll start with you, man. Chiefs are 9-5. Kind of a, not the most exciting win on Sunday, but definitely a better win than they've, better game than they've had recently. How'd you feel after Sunday's win?
It was nice to see them get the win. First of all, you're right. It was a boring game, but I'm kind of hoping the next few weeks we just see some boring football from the Chiefs and, they just keep it as simple as possible.
Yeah, that's a good point, right? Boring is good this time of year, especially with the Chiefs, with their schedule coming up. Nate, how you feeling about the Chiefs? We got 3 games to go till a postseason run.
This game didn't make me feel much better. That's for certain. I didn't think they played very well. I thought defensively, once I watched the film, I felt better than I did watching the broadcast. I think they got unlucky a couple times, I thought. Offensively, I thought we'll get into it, I think, a little bit. I think the offensive film was a lot worse than I was expecting. A lot of offensive stats were a lot worse than I was expecting, and it didn't leave me with any more confidence about where they are kind of at offensively at this point.
Well, I think Mahomes played well for the most part, but yeah, I think everything around that, yeah, I think you're right. And you guys are about to talk about that. You two have 2 offensive topics that you're going to break down for us tonight, and then I will just be talking about the defense at the end. I agree with you. We were saying, pretty solid performance overall. Just a few little things at the beginning led them to give up 10 points. But Caleb, take it away, man. You're going to be talking about the red zone offense and just kind of what you saw from the Chiefs on Sunday in that aspect. Take it away.
And I'm going to be getting on the red zone offense. And I know Nate's going to be talking a lot about Mahomes, whatnot here in a little bit. But I just wanted to point out that if you take away some of the mistakes that the Chiefs offense made throughout the course of the game, that he could have very well had 4 touchdowns and close to 400 yards passing, because he still was extremely efficient in what he did. And I'm going to bring up a play before I get into the red zone stuff, because it's just something that it's been sitting. I've been thinking about it. I've been going through it back and forth, the last couple of days on this play. But in the play I'm trying to get pulled up here right now, if it'll let me, is the Kadarius Toney drop ball that led to the interception. I'm just getting tired of this in general. It's frustrating. And the thing that frustrates me the most is I've seen a lot of people throwing the Chiefs wide receiver coach under the bus. And I know he's a young, unproven coach, but just with the way Andy Reid has historically hired guys and gone after people, I don't think he would just put in some complete and total fool into this position of prominence, knowing what he has in this room. To me, if anything, I think they put him in there knowing that he was going to take some bumps this year, but trying to continue to develop him as a coach. And if you want to talk about the stuff that, the pre-snap stuff, the alignment stuff, so the guys screwing up routes or not recognizing it, and you want to put some of that on him, that's fine. But when you sit here and I hear people say, well, he's got to find a way to motivate these guys, I think a guy like Marquez Valdez-Scantling, his motivation should be all that money he gets on his game check. Or Kadarius Toney should think that his motivation should be that he got a second chance to come play for a real football team, and he's kind of throwing that chance away this season, because there's nothing on this play that I don't think a coach can stick, or a coach can change, because he's getting ready to catch the ball, but when you come back in here to the end zone view, he takes his eyes off the ball at the last second. He doesn't focus in, and this is the second or third time we've seen him do this season. So my thing is clearly it's been addressed. Andy Reid is not going to sit here and just let his assistants not address this kind of thing. And, there's, other examples of Rashee Rice hasn't dropped a pass in a few weeks. So something's clicking there for a guy like Rashee Rice, and even Justin Watson's been better this year. That's not clicking for Kadarius Toney. At some point, that's on the player. That's his responsibility. I heard Peter King mentioning some stuff on a show I was listening to him do today, he mentioned that, maybe a possibility the Chiefs could have would be to have Kadarius Toney inactive for a couple of games. I don't know if that's the route that they're going to take, but it does frustrate me knowing that, this is what the Chiefs have, and this is kind of who they're relying on right now. Because it's one thing to make that one mistake week 1 versus Detroit. All right, it's a completely other thing to be this unfocused this late in the season, and and he did do a good job of getting open on this play. But I don't know I'm going to pull up some of this other film. I've got more positive stuff. What do you guys think, though?
Yeah, to back up your point on the Peter King thing, I mean, like Pete, our guy Pete Sweeney, the lead, the chief editor here, he obviously agrees with what you just said, what Peter said, because he was kind of saying that that's what he took away from Andy's press conference on Monday, which Andy is pretty subtle with his words, but Pete kind of picked it apart and kind of mentioned that he thought, Andy didn't really back him up confidence wise like he does all the time, where he kind of was more vague about, if he's going to continue to be a feature part of the offense. So I don't know, Nate, it's he's had 40% of the offensive snaps the last 2 weeks, which is close to his season high. So he's been being ramped up. Are you ready to see that go away, or do you think he kind of just it's kind of just you have to live with it? What are your thoughts?
Well, the thing about the wide receiver coach makes me so mad. Like, people don't understand how little practice time these guys have. Like, Connor Embry might not even have time to develop a whole bunch of young wide receivers. But the other thing is, like, what about Kadarius Toney have we seen this year that wasn't part of his pre-draft profile? We all knew, like, there were plenty of character concerns. Like, that was not just like a made-up thing. Like, everybody had those concerns about him. We all knew MVS was, terrible at the catch point, played super weak. Sky Moore had athleticism issues for his size. What do you want him to do? Like, there's nothing about the wide receiver room this year that I'd be like, oh, that's his fault, because there's just so much talent. There's just not enough talent right now. And if we're going to be like, well, he's part of the reason why Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore didn't develop, why aren't we giving him credit for Rashee Rice? Why aren't we giving him credit for the fact that he integrated a rookie wide receiver, which has been, by the way, something the Chiefs have done very poorly at, like throughout Andy Reid's tenure. Even Tyreek Hill as a rookie wasn't really a huge contributor. What Rice is doing this year, like, can we give him credit for that? But, like, it's just a negative thing. Like, people blame position coaches too much. It's a talent sport. These guys are professionals. Yeah. Like, get over it. Like, it's fine.
See, Nate, that's why you and I are friends, because it's 100% true. Let's spread some hate to Nagy, to Girardi, to Blameyer before we go for the first year position coach. If you really want to attack the coaches, which I really think there's a lot of execution stuff that has nothing to do with who's coaching them at the position. But all right, enough of that Toney talk. I'm sure people are tired of hearing people rant about him. Let's talk about some red zone offense. Caleb, what you got?
Yeah, so the Patriots' red zone defense has actually been pretty good this year. They're the 6th best at holding offenses out there. Like, I believe they're allowing some of the 6th lowest efficiency success rate of any team, and they've also been outstanding at stopping the run this year in the red zone as well as they have it in general. But the Chiefs did get 5 red zone chances. They converted 3 of them. Did not start out too well, though. And I want to get your guys' take on this, because they call OPI on Rashee Rice, and he does clean this guy up. To me, this doesn't look like he's, like, actually starting this play. I heard people saying, well, it's a pick play. It kind of looks to me like just it's going to be a cross for Kadarius Toney, of all people, here. But you see they kind of have Kelsey up there to kind of draw the defenders away, and Rice kind of looks to me like he's just clearing out space. The safety just gets in his way, and he does clean him up. So I don't know. Where do you? I just want to know what you guys think about that one, because I thought it didn't really look like it was going to be, like, affecting the play all that much. It kind of just looked like a timing issue.
Well, yeah, they're running mesh, and he's doing, like, a route over the ball. Like, I think that's what he's just trying to do. Like, he definitely shouldn't, like, probably hit it that hard, but, like, based off the way this concept looks, like, I don't think he's actually, like, trying to set a pick. I think he's trying to run a route over the ball.
Yeah, no, that's what I was going to say. If people are calling it a pick play, he didn't pick the guy that was supposed to be picked. Yeah. And that theoretically he ran into the safety, who I think honestly comes down hard, and Rice does need to be aware of that. So I think it's just a no call, though. I'm surprised they called that an OPI. I think that's just like, hey, that happens. So it was surprising to me.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess I do. Part of me does like that he did finish the route physically and set the tone. It prevented, them from getting closer and scoring. This was one of their, this is pretty much their only unsuccessful trip. Butker misses the field goal. So it is what it is with that. It's just kind of a unfortunate deal. They, New England might have got a little bit of home cooking there. I do like the concept though. It's, something that maybe if they're trying to, get some more guys like Richie James going or someone like that, they can maybe run a similar concept with here down the line. But the Chiefs were pretty good in the red zone. They came out in this really fun formation, and it's just kind of a play on of their shovel power packages that they run. This time it's more of a counter package, but you see a little better in the end zone view here. Reason number one, it's fun. Joe Thuney snapping the ball against his former team where he did line up and play center when they had David Andrews had some injury issues. Creed is actually at left guard here. And on the snap, you're going to see, Mahomes is in the 3-point stance, just kind of a fun Andy Reid play that, the offense has been missing a little bit of fun the last few weeks. We've kind of missed some of it. So it was nice to see this, and McKinnon takes it. It's just a counter look. You see Creed and Taylor pulling around. They have a Blake Bell inserting as a lead blocker. And actually the end of man on the line of scrimmage 23, he's so wide, he just kind of takes himself out of the play. Bell and Taylor hit the same guy at the same time, but you see how screwed up the Patriots are on the snap just because there's so much going on. It's like the guy who doesn't snap the ball very often is snapping the ball. They've got, there's just kind of a lot to look. You see the confusion. They see Kelsey kind of, he's getting involved there somewhere also. And then they see Mahomes rolling out. But then Rice is coming back through too late. So they do get a void. Trey Smith didn't play very good, but he has a very nice seal block on this play right here. And Noah Gray gets to the second level also, and it's just a nice touchdown for Rice. So fun, creative look. They just kind of drew something up in there. And welcome back, Jerick McKinnon, his second touchdown in 2 weeks. I think it's getting ready to be time. What I like about this one is when he, sometimes they'll run him up to the line like that when he's getting ready to pass block or pick up a blitz just to help him get up there and attack it a little bit quicker. And you see initially he is kind of like in a stance where it's like, I'm getting ready to pass block. He does a very nice sell on this. Rice or MVS is going to be running an out route here towards the somewhere in the middle of the end zone. Sky Moore's cutting in. Kelsey's just kind of decoying right here, going to draw some attention, and McKinnon's able to get out to the flat real quick. Mahomes doesn't waste any time. He just puts it on him. Easy touchdown. Jerick McKinnon kind of getting back in the groove of things a little bit here. So that'll hopefully be something fun to watch. And you kind of see, you just kind of see the attention. They got a lot of guys over Kelsey. McKinnon does. He just kind of sells like he's going to block, and then he's out there quick, simple play into the flat for a touchdown. And then we had one of the more athletic, fun plays we've seen all the season. This is something I've missed seeing, sometimes just Mahomes making a crazy throw and a guy going up and get it. And of all the people, the guy that goes up and get it is Clyde. But really, you see it's a decent pocket for Mahomes here. I think Clyde had a little bit of an option route. He chooses to go inside. He's not the first read, but, they're having some trouble. There's no one really open anywhere. Kelsey's blanketed in man coverage. Nate, I know you're going to talk about that here in a little bit. Clyde chooses to go in, and he does a really great job of recognizing that, I'm behind these guys now. I have a lot of space to operate, and Mahomes sees it also. And, Clyde, he gets the short end of the stick a lot. He's drawn a lot of criticism. I loved hearing what the guys on the Chiefs offense had to say about him after the game. With him, it's never going to be a question of his focus or what's going on with him. It's just a lack of ability sometimes, and that's unfortunate. But, here at this point in the season where they are needing a boost, having anyone with some chemistry with Mahomes is definitely going to be a positive overall. He had a real nice day. So I thought that was nice seeing the running backs start getting involved more in the red zone passing game. Mahomes was 7 of 9 in red zone looks. He was extremely efficient. And I do think that as good as the Patriots have been in the red zone this year, I'm pretty encouraged with what the offense can do moving forward in the playoffs, because now they're starting to stack looks on top of looks, and hopefully they'll be able to find some more stuff out of some of this stuff.
Yeah, I think there's something too. You saying the Chiefs offense has been missing some fun. It's always, a good sign for them to, last year late in the season, right? We saw them pull out the ring around the rosy, play against the Raiders. That was kind of, on the way to a championship. It's kind of a, just maybe a good sign, some chemistry things. Andy Reid willingness to pull it out, feels confident in his guys. Noah Engel, shout out. That's my guy. I grew up with that guy. He said it was awesome to see again in the comments. James L. Spillman said, what about Tony? Thoughts on him? Well, you just missed our thoughts. Unfortunately, you might have to watch the recording on that. We got into Tony pretty good at the top, but Nate, I'm gonna let you take over here because you're talking more Chiefs offense, more good stuff and bad stuff, probably, I imagine.
Yeah, well, for this week, I wrote about what the Chiefs did on 3rd and long, because honestly, outside of that and the red zone, because I do agree that the red zone designs were very good this week. I was happy to see that. Chiefs offense was really bad. I mean, you can break it down by stats. I looked yesterday. If you look at EPA and success rate, their rushing game would have ranked so far below the worst in the league on Sunday that it wasn't even close. Could not run the ball, particularly on the right side of the offensive line. I thought the tight ends really struggled to run block. I thought the Chiefs wide receivers continued to make mistakes. I thought Kelsey really, really struggled again to beat man coverage. This has been a trend now for multiple weeks that I'm very concerned about. But the encouraging part was that I agree that Patrick Mahomes played great throughout this entire game, particularly on 3rd and long. So we're going to break down those 3rd and longs because I was really encouraged by that. So on this one, this is the 3rd and 10. The Chiefs kind of failed their first 2 3rd and 10s. One of them was in the red zone, and the other one they had to get a punt on. Both of them were screens to Jarrett McKinnon, actually. But the Patriots were playing a lot of 1 double coverage on Travis Kelsey, so they put Kelsey kind of off the ball here, and they were still committed to double teaming him for the most part. I'll get this clip going. And the Chiefs were able to kind of use that to attack some, downfield a little bit. So on this play, they kind of use McKinnon. They kind of leak him out to kind of just identify man coverage. What they're going to have to do is have Justin Watson run this flag route, because with this kind of double coverage, you're going to have this robber in the middle of the field. When you are inside the numbers in man coverage, typically you're going to see outside leverage because you're trying to funnel inside to the single high safety from depth. And the one thing Justin Watson's very, very good at is he's always been really good at these flag routes. He can really kind of stride out and kind of break out. He always is kind of at the correct landmarks. Mahomes has a ton of trust there. This is a great play design to kind of beat this type of coverage. The throw is just tremendous. You got a guy coming off the edge, perfect touch, right in the basket. Couldn't ask anything more. The throw, the route, the protection, the design, all this is excellent. This was a huge play for the Chiefs when they're kind of struggling on offense. On this same drive, 3rd and long, and I think this is more kind of mental mastery with Mahomes, so we'll kind of talk about this real quick. Mahomes is actually going to check out of whatever play they're in originally. At the very least, he changes the protection. He's going to bring Kelsey in, and they're going to run a 7-man pass protection because the Patriots have all these guys in the line of scrimmage. The Patriots under Bill Belichick have always traditionally been a very heavy blitz simulated team. So Mahomes decides to kind of can the play, bring Kelsey in. They're going to slide this off the offensive line all the way to the right, and Kelsey and McKinnon are going to get this backside edge. And the Chiefs are going to run daggers, so they're going to have Watson run this vertical and Rice run the dig behind it. Even though this is picked up protection-wise, the right guard Trey Smith, he does kind of take a bit of it all. He is able to kind of get the pass rusher a little bit out of his path, but Mahomes certainly has to kind of stand up, navigate. But I think the impressive part is Rice. He kind of just sits in his own hole. He presents himself as a target. The pocket navigation from Mahomes, the mental mastery to kind of pick up the protection well, adjust the play. That's just what years of experience at quarterback does. Next one I kind of have here. This is another play where the Chiefs kind of use Kelsey's kind of using him as a 1 double guy. So they would put him on the backside of these concepts, and the Patriots still kind of run 1 double, or they would cloud to his side. They would basically double team him. And what the Chiefs did actually a really good job was they either would set vertical picks downfield to kind of get to the sideline, or they would use these switch releases, which they do here, because the Patriots are kind of going to be matching with man for the most part. And they kind of just have a bit of a coverage breakdown, and it allows these 2 vertical routes to clear so Rice can run the out versus inside leverage. This DB kind of feigns aside. This is a good route by Rice. He kind of stems the crosser, explodes off his inside foot. But the route, the design, the motion, it takes advantage of the fact that the Patriots have to distribute a lot of things really quickly. When you're in these man match type coverages, a lot of it's by number count. So if MVS is suddenly the number 3 and Rice is the number 2, that really screws up your rules. So good design, good route. Certainly the throw is very good as well. Last one I kind of have here for 3rd down. This is actually one of the only plays I think Mahomes had bad all day, but it still ends up being a 3rd down. It's 3rd and 5. This was after the Tony pick, and the Patriots scored a touchdown. The Chiefs actually get baited with the wrong play. They're going to run kind of mesh here again. So they're going to have both these crosses going underneath. Rice is going to go underneath. Gray's going to go underneath behind him. And the Patriots kind of sit back, and I believe it's cover 3. And Gray does his job. He sits in this hole, but Mahomes is like super late to it for whatever reason. He's just not comfortable throwing that. Maybe he just doesn't see it super well. It could be a footwork thing. He just wasn't comfortable throwing that. But look at his pass protection. The pass protection kind of had a rough day overall, but this is a play that they really needed good pass protection on. And all around the board, Taylor, Trey Smith, I agree, kind of had a rough day, but this is great pass protection on Keenan White. It gives Mahomes enough time to be able to kind of relay all the way back to this backside crosser. So even though it was a rough day for the offensive line, it was still good in a very crucial moment on a third down that they could kind of, pick up a protection well and do that. So overall, Mahomes is great. I really can't emphasize that enough. He was just playing great. Like everything was great. His accuracy, how well he was adjusting protections and stuff like that. Well, what I wrote in the article, if we're just being a little bit negative, is the fact that the Chiefs have to be better on early downs. They can't, the way they played on Sunday, they can't win a playoff game that way. They can't go into every playoff game and be like, well, 3rd and long, we have to win on every 3rd and long, because that's just not a way, even with as good as Mahomes is on 3rd and long, that's not a way to sustain 60 minutes of football. But the encouraging part is that even with all the offensive struggles, they can still move the ball on 3rd down because Mahomes is that great of a quarterback. And if they are able to find some semblance of an early down formula combined with 3-4 3rd downs a game, that might just be enough for them to move the ball in playoff games.
Well, shoot, what I would say is, as you're right, like we all know Mahomes is good on those situations, but we haven't really seen it as much this year. So yeah. You could say it's encouraging that it happened kind of in bunches in this game. Kind of just something that they haven't seen as much this year. Maybe the guys he threw it to, kind of feeling more confident, although, it was Rice and Watson, the guys that he's been throwing to, in those situations. But that's the thing. They haven't had Pacheco these last 2 games. He should be back. Hopefully that helps the early down offense, because obviously there's only so much Clyde and Jarrett can do, ceiling wise, right? Kind of each play, I think the longest rush, I think Clyde did have a 20-yard rush this week, right? But besides that, I think the longest rush we've seen between them the last 2 weeks is like 7 yards. So we need Pacheco back in there. Caleb, any final thoughts on kind of what Nate's talking about there with the early down offense and kind of maybe the 3rd down offense playing well together?
Yeah, it's nice because those are like your most critical situations, red zone situations, and 3rd downs. The Patriots defense, as bad as the Patriots are, it's more of their offense is just horrible for the most part, most of the time. It's never really had anything to do with their defense. You can say that the game's passed Bill Belichick by from like an offensive standpoint and a player personnel standpoint. He can still call a defense now. They still have the personnel to, muddy up a game. And I think, they're still top 10 in most categories. They are the number 1 rushing defense in the league. So they just need to get a little bit better. Hopefully the offensive line does come out and play better. I was discouraged seeing that after I thought they'd been putting together a couple of solid weeks, but hopefully they can just get that out of their system, before the playoffs start.
Sam makes a comment, which I think is interesting. She says the go route has gone from KC. Hardly see too high coverage anymore from defenses. Defenses are much more willing to risk, playing from that one high and forcing the Chiefs to win vertically. And yeah, that's something we broke down on this show quite a bit is the Chiefs' failure to win on, or complete those downfield throws when they're given to them. But all right, let's talk about the defense, because that is kind of the unit that has really paced this second half of the season, has paced this whole season, I should say. But it's kind of nice to see them settle back into a game and see kind of a game where that the Patriots are going to want to try to run the ball. Spags knew that before the game. He talked about, kind of what we've heard them talk about with Derrick Henry in the past, right? Killing the engine. That was something he kind of emphasized this week, knowing that they're going to want to get Zeke going. Zeke did have like 140 yards against the Steelers in the previous game. And what the Chiefs did early is obviously, or I should say on early downs, is just obviously focus on getting that run game, not going anywhere. Zeke only averaged 2.3 yards per carry. He only had 11 carries for the game, but his longest rush was 5 yards on the day. So, obviously the Chiefs succeeded on stifling him and forcing the Patriots into 3rd and long and longer conversion situations. And honestly, the thing I'm going to highlight first is just the fact that the Chiefs DBs are just flying up the field and really helping, a stout front 7, right? So, on this particular play, what I really like about the design is you're going to see this late come up by Willie Gay, what this is going to do is all of a sudden, instead of maybe Noddy getting this double team, right, or getting doubled up, or maybe even Jones getting a double team here, and then getting work to Willie Gay. Willie's already at the line of scrimmage, so he's actually going to draw the double team here, right? So that's going to single up Derek Noddy and the backside DN here, and Noddy has his presence felt, right? Works through because he's getting singled up. If I've said it all year, if Noddy is on a single blocker, he's gonna find his space, get into the line of scrimmage. The defensive end caves in here. Zeke has to go all the way backside, and guess who's there? Right there, it's Jay Reed. Jay Reed's been doing this all year, coming up hard, especially on like a 1st and 10 like this was, knowing that they're gonna run, sell out. That strong safety, just sell out and come up. Another example kind of that here of the safety coming up and forcing things, another way. Chamari Connor is going to be playing from the slot here, and you're going to see kind of him read this run and fold in, right, and be right here to force Zeke to bounce out. And then who does he bounce him into? Snead, who makes a great tackle, hard tackle. It's just cool to see these DBs play so physically. We've praised them, the cornerbacks obviously all year for how they come up and play physically on the outside, on the edges. But this is truly in the box stuff, right? This is a third and short kind of run. They need to convert this. The Chiefs obviously are kind of still on a spread out pass D personnel. They don't know for sure the Patriots are going to run this, but once they do kind of get it blocked up well, right? You're going to see Connor actually fly in, from the right side here, almost make a play, right? He does miss the tackle, but it does kind of slow him down enough, and it helps Jay Reed get a squared up hit and drive him back. That's going to force a 4th down. Patriots actually ended up scoring on that play. But again, just cool play from the defense. And here's a play on Connor's part, just squaring up Zeke and pressing him at the line of scrimmage. So cool play by the DBs, playing strong. But again, the defensive front really was the ones playing, all downs very strong. And that was in the pass rush game as well. They were getting pressure on Zappe. They actually got pressure on Zappe 49% of the time is the rate that PFF had when I reviewed the game. And yeah, it was just a lot of hustle and a lot of cave in the pocket, right? Dana here does a great job of just pressing inside, not getting too deep. So he actually is, getting, into the back of the pocket where he's getting into Zappe's feet, but he has the ability to redirect once he gets to the pocket, right? He's not just going to stay locked, engaged, and not be able to make a play. He trips up Zappe just enough once he reads him coming back inside. Noddy's able to finish. Great hustle play by both those guys. Noddy being able to come off the block too. But Charles Omenihu honestly had a great game himself. It was kind of one of his best days, in my opinion, as an edge rusher, a true edge rusher, right? And this is a tackle and stunt, something that he should be very good at, right? Just being able to cave in inside. Guard doesn't pick him up well, so he does get a free shot at the quarterback. But just how quickly and how long he is getting in there, man. I do think it's impressive. This play is really just Jones caving in on the guard here, and just Zappe doesn't even have a chance. This is almost picked off because the pressure is just so easy. Just the pocket caves so quickly that the ball isn't even able to be it isn't able to get out. And then I'm going to have Omenihu's sack on the back half of this, which I think is just a great play by him to come all the way around, the handwork to come into the back of the pocket. Don't get too deep. That's what I'm saying, where I really didn't think maybe, he'd get many sacks from that edge rushing spot, right? I think I really figured we'd see a lot of him as an interior rusher, and that's where he'd get a lot of his success. But this game, he had a few good plays from that edge rushing position. So shout out Omenihu for one of his better games. This was one of my favorite plays from the game too. Shout out Leo Chenal for getting this 3rd down stop. You're going to see from, pre-snap alignment. This is kind of how they're going to trick Zappe here, and this is shout out Spags. It's going to look like Chenal's manned up on Mike Gesicki here, and that maybe Tranquil's the one coming from the edge over here, right? Because he's kind of maybe looking in a little bit. He's not exactly on the receiver. You're going to see the safety over the top maybe creeping. Justin Reed might just be, looking just to be playing more of a one high look once Edward comes down. But what happens is obviously late, Chenal starts to show it because he's going to come. Reed actually picks up the tight end. And I think what happens is Zappe just kind of, that he just kind of assumes, once he kind of takes his eyes off Chenal, he assumes he's not coming. Once he sees Chenal's coming, oh, shoot, he's already thrown into him. He kind of already decided he has to throw that. And honestly, he's kind of lucky because if Chenal doesn't tip this, Jay Reed might have a chance at picking this if the ball's any sort of behind, if the ball's any sort of, not accurate at all. Jay Reed is jumping that and maybe making a pick here. But I do want to give credit to Leo Chenal too. for his. It's kind of an awkward rush that he does, but it's very disciplined, keeping those hands up. I love that, right? There's a lot of players that they're rushing, they get excited, and they kind of just go for the hit, and then they don't get that hand up, they don't get the tip. That was really good of him to just kind of. It's kind of funny, just be running that full 5 yards with his hands up awkwardly to get that tip. So shout out Chenal for playing with good discipline. And then finally, I do want to break down real quick the Willie Gay interception that he should have returned for an interception. I was joking today on the pod that he could have helped me buy some more Christmas gifts. I had money on the Chiefs defensive or special teams to score a touchdown on Sunday, and Willie just didn't want to get it done, And so here you're gonna see I have Willie circled. What's going to happen here is just a play action. Zappy's going to be rolling out. And what do you do on a rollout? If you're if you're a receiver, you're going to be kind of, getting to the sideline, right? Or getting, upfield like the tight end does that Willie kind of, is at first kind of on. So Willie does a great job. He knows kind of how that's going to be done, right? So he's going to kind of pick up the tight end, get underneath them, sink underneath, and Zappy inexplicably throws his pass. Like, it's a terrible pass. I think Dana's pressure kind of just made him kind of panic and try to fit something in that there's just nowhere to be fit in. So shout out Willie for kind of picking up the tight end appropriately, really doing a good job of turning, looking for the ball, being ready for an interception like that. So it really was a great play by Willie. But come on, what are we doing here? You see this? And I know there's a bunch of Patriots to the right. I know, but just Nick selling his butt off, getting a nice block there. Naughty trying to seal it there too. Put a shoulder down, Willie. And the Chiefs actually even I know, right? That's what I'm saying. And the Chiefs even released a social video. It was pretty funny. All his teammates were giving him crap, saying, "Why didn't you go score? Why didn't you go score?" So he definitely heard it. And it's funny, actually, after the game, he mentioned he just doesn't like getting tackled. That's really, he said it. Like, he just straight up like, I like getting tackled. I like tackling. I hate getting tackled. So not a great excuse to not score because, hey, honestly, like, if with the Chiefs offense this year, they need every score they can get on defense. So definitely would have liked to see Willie finish that. But again, great play from the linebacker. The linebackers are still flying around making plays as Nick Bolton kind of gets back. But I don't know. Maybe this is where I was going to say, maybe this is where I'll throw it back to you guys and how your thoughts on the defense. Like, I feel like Nick is kind of, was back in form a little bit more on Sunday. What did you guys think?
I thought Bolton played fantastic, honestly. Like, it was a simpler offensive scheme, so that's probably certainly helpful. But compared to what he was a week ago, he was flying around. Like, he was making plays in range. He's making good plays in coverage. Honestly, that was one of his more complete games he's played. Overall, I was very encouraged. Like I just mentioned, the offense certainly is very simple. So you have to, caveat that, but that was one of his best games. I was really impressed by the way Nick Bolton played.
Yeah, and it is funny saying that, and I didn't have any clips with him, but it really was just more so the run defense. I really want to just highlight the DBs. Didn't really show any of the because Noddy had a few run stops. Jones had a few good run plays, so there was a lot of good run defense besides the safeties that I showed. But yeah, Caleb, how'd you kind of feel about what'd you see from the defense?
I liked it. Like you said, the linebackers played much better. Tranquil, he suffered an extremely serious injury 2 weeks ago, so it makes sense they might want to bring him back a little slower. And the offense put them in some bad spots, some short fields. One of those short fields did lead to a touchdown. 10 of the Patriots' points, I think, came off of short fields. They might have missed a field goal in there. I can't quite remember off the top of my head. But, some of those points, didn't have to happen. And like the one drive where the Patriots went down and scored and people freaked out, I was kind of like, I was like, Spags is playing base here. I'm like, he'll make an adjustment like he did in the second half against the Raiders, like he did against the Bills. And then they came out and they blanked him pretty much outside of some of the short fields. So
4th and 5 was so lucky.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. That's just
it just happens. It was like, it wasn't even any bad defense. It was just the luckiest play I've ever seen.
Yeah. It's just kind of, so, I mean, I wasn't like extremely worried about any of that. They just came out and took care of business though. Omena, who's starting to ramp it up now. He's starting to get into like actual like mid-season to late to mid-season form where he's starting to really look comfortable in the defense. So having him and Jones rushing at a high level here over the next month or two could be huge.
100%.
He's been the best defensive lineman this past month.
You know, there's an
Like
argument to be made
Jones
because
is probably the answer just because like all the double teams he creates, but like Menu's playing great. He's been awesome.
yeah, because I think his size on the edge, you know,
Mhm.
even on early downs and run defense, like you
So much
love what
more.
Mike Dana does, but like there's only, you know, when you have that much size, like it really does affect, you know, outside runs to that side. Like it just feels like there's nowhere to go because there's just like, you know, 6'7" long winged, you know, long length, whatever word I'm trying to say. So yeah, I totally agree. Chiefs defensive line is definitely seeming like they're heating up a little bit. So it'll be exciting to see how they kind of finish the regular season off. They got the Raiders this week. You know, they kind of struggled last time they played them to kind of get them down at first, but they kind of settled in, started attacking Aiden O'Connell. But, you know, hey, that'll be a test for a guy who gets the ball out quick. But yeah, we'll see what they got. The last two quarterbacks are backups. You want to heat them up. You want their life to be hell. So we'll see if they can do that. And we'll break all that down for you once we get there. But yeah, this is going to be the end of the show tonight. Appreciate everyone joining. Shout out Kenneth, Dion, Noah, David, Sam, even Greg earlier, Tammy, all y'all. Appreciate y'all commenting and listening and watching. We'll be back next week talking about the X's and O's from the Chiefs Christmas Day. Hopefully a win over the Raiders. And yeah, we will see you then. Appreciate you joining. Have a good night.